She was found alone. No mother, no tracks, no sound. Just a small black shape pressed against the wet ground, barely moving. At first, we thought she was dead. Then she breathed. Shallow, weak, but alive. She couldn't stand, couldn't lift her head. Her body was cold. Too cold for a cub that young. We checked the area again. Slowly, carefully. No sign of the mother. A black panther cub does not end up alone like this unless something has gone very wrong. Predation, poaching, accident. We didn't know. All we knew was this. If we walked away, she wouldn't last the night. I crouched down, stayed low, didn't speak. Her eyes opened just enough to see me. No fear, no strength left for that. She made a sound, not a growl, not a cry. A thin, broken noise that barely escaped her throat. That sound stays with you. I wrapped her gently. Her body fit entirely in my arms, too light, too still. She pressed her face against my chest instinctively, not because she trusted me. Because warmth is life. We moved quickly, no lights, no noise. Every movement felt heavier than it should, because this wasn't supposed to happen. She wasn't supposed to need me. Her heart was racing. I could feel it through her ribs. Fast, erratic. We kept her warm, slowly, no force. She twitched once, then again. Her breathing steadied just a little. Enough to keep going. At the clinic, they checked everything. Dehydration, exposure, severe stress, but no fractures, no visible wounds. That raised a different kind of fear. Something invisible had taken her mother away. She should have been nursing. She should have been hidden. Instead, she was here. And she wouldn't let go of me. When they tried to take her from my arms, she reacted. A sudden movement, tiny claws, weak but determined. She cried out. That sound was different, sharp, panicked. They stopped, put her back against me, instant calm. Breathing slowed, heart rate dropped. That's when someone said it out loud. She thinks you're her mother. I laughed at first, out of disbelief, out of fear, because I knew what that meant. It meant responsibility. It meant time. It meant a bond that doesn't fade quietly. That night she slept pressed against my side. Every time I shifted, she adjusted. Every time I stopped breathing deeply, she stirred. She needed constant contact, constant reassurance. She wasn't just surviving, she was imprinting. By morning, she followed me, not walking, crawling. Dragging her small body toward my legs every time I moved away. If I stepped back, she cried. If I sat down, she climbed. She didn't explore, she didn't wander. She stayed close. Closer than instinct should allow. That's when it became clear. This wasn't temporary. She hadn't just lost her mother, she had chosen a new one. And she chose me. The house changed the moment she did. Not visibly. Not at first. But the silence felt different. She explored slowly, low to the ground. Every step cautious. She didn't see the house as territory, she saw it as shelter. She stayed close to my legs, always within reach. If I moved to another room, she followed. If I closed a door, she cried. That cry wasn't loud, but it carried urgency. It wasn't hunger, it wasn't pain, it was separation. She needed to know where I was at all times. Feeding her was the first challenge. She didn't understand bowls, didn't recognize bottles. She searched for warmth instead. Pressed her face against my chest, my neck, my hands. Instinct guided her, but instinct had no answer. So we learned together. Slowly. She took the bottle eventually, reluctantly, but only if I held her. Only if she could feel my heartbeat. If I tried to step away, she stopped feeding. Her eyes would lift, scan. Until she found me again. Only then would she continue. At night, she refused to sleep alone. If I placed her in a warm bed nearby, she cried. If I stayed beside her, she slept. Curled tightly, breathing steady, one hand on me at all times. As days passed, her strength returned. Her movements became sharper, more precise. Claws extended further, teeth more visible. She began to play. At first, gently. batting at my fingers, rolling onto her back. But play turned rough faster than expected. She didn't know how strong she was becoming. She bit my sleeve once, not hard, but enough to remind me of what she was. A panther does not grow slowly, and she was growing fast. Her muscles defined early, her coordination improved daily, yet her behavior didn't change. She still followed me everywhere, still cried when I left her sight, still slept beside me. She learned the sounds of the house, doors, steps, breathing. She responded to my voice instantly. If I spoke from another room, she came, always. She didn't answer to anyone else. Not really. Others could touch her, feed her. But when something startled her, she ran to me. Every time. That's when the concern started. Because this wasn't just attachment, this was imprinting. She wasn't learning to be a panther. She was learning to be my cub. And that bond cuts both ways. I couldn't leave her for long. I couldn't ignore her cries. Because when she cried for a mother that never came back. And every time I answered, I became more than a caretaker. I became the center of her world. But the world she belonged to was not meant to fit inside a house. And we both knew it, even if she didn't understand it yet. She didn't grow in stages, she grew in leaps. One morning, she struggled to climb the couch. A week later, she leapt onto it without effort. Her body changed faster than my instincts could adjust. Muscle replaced softness. Play turned into testing. She no longer chased fingers. She stalked them. Low posture, focused eyes, silent movement. That was the first moment I felt it. Not fear, awareness. This wasn't a kitten learning to play. This was a predator learning range. She still slept beside me, still pressed her head into my side at night, still purred in that deep, vibrating way that felt almost comforting. But when she played now, I watched her claws. I watched her jaw. I learned where not to move suddenly. She didn't mean harm, that was the problem. She trusted me completely, which meant she didn't hold back. One afternoon she jumped, not aggressively, just misjudged distance. Her weight hit my chest harder than expected. Air left my lungs. She froze instantly, pulled back, watched my face. That reaction said more than the impact. She wasn't dominant. She was afraid of hurting me. She pressed her head into my neck afterward, held still, wouldn't move until my breathing normalized. That's when it became impossible to ignore. She didn't see me as something fragile. She saw me as hers. The house adapted again. Furniture moved, sharp edges covered, doors reinforced. Every adjustment centered around one question. How do you keep someone safe who is becoming dangerous without knowing it? She learned routines quickly. Meal times, quiet hours, my movements. If I picked up my shoes, she blocked the door. Not aggressively, just stood there. If I left, she cried, not loudly, but deep, low. That sound changed people's expressions. It didn't sound like a pet. It sounded like loss. When strangers came over, she positioned herself between them and me. No growling. No attack. Just presence. Solid. Still. Watching. That protective instinct intensified with time. She followed my heartbeat. If my breathing changed, she noticed. If I was anxious, she stayed closer. She learned me faster than I learned her. And that scared me more than her size, because one day she would be fully grown, and the world would stop seeing her as a miracle. They would see danger, they would see liability, they would see a mistake. And they wouldn't care that she slept beside me or cried when I left. They would see teeth, claws, instinct. I started to ask the questions I avoided. What happens when she's too big to hide? What happens when she reacts before thinking? What happens when someone else gets hurt? And the hardest one, what happens when she realizes I am not her kind? She already didn't know how to be alone. She didn't know forests, didn't know shadows beyond walls. She knew me. And I knew something was coming. A moment when love would no longer be enough. A moment when choosing her might mean letting go. But every time I looked at her, curled beside me, eyes half closed, breathing steady, that moment felt impossible, and postponing it felt easier than facing it. For now. The outside world noticed before I was ready. It always does. A photo leaked, then a short clip. Nothing dramatic. Just her following me through the hallway, her tail brushing the wall, her head pressed against my leg. People didn't see danger. They saw something impossible. Messages started coming in. At first, curiosity, then concern, then judgment. This isn't safe. She's not a pet. You can't keep her. They were right. That didn't make it easier. Officials came, calm, professional. They didn't accuse. They observed. She observed them back. She didn't hide. She didn't attack. She sat beside me, close enough to touch, every muscle relaxed, but ready. They noticed that too. One of them asked me to step away. Just a few meters. I did. She stood immediately, head low, eyes locked, not aggressive, protective. They told me to call her back. I spoke her name. She came. Instantly. That moment sealed everything. They didn't see a wild animal. They saw a bond that had gone too far. Later they explained the options: sanctuary, rehabilitation, a controlled environment. Not the house. Not me. I nodded through it all, listened, understood, agreed. But agreement doesn't undo attachment. That night she sensed it. Animals always do. She stayed closer than usual. Wouldn't sleep. Every time I moved, she lifted her head. Checked. When I packed a small bag, she blocked it. Sat on it. Refused to move. I laughed, then stopped. Because she wasn't playing. She knew something was changing. The morning of the transfer came quietly. No chaos, no crowd, just a vehicle outside. She watched from the window, ears turning, reading the sound. When they entered, she stood in front of me again. This time they didn't ask me to move away. They asked me to walk with her. Slowly. One step at a time. She followed. As always. The crate was open, large, dark. She stopped, sniffed, looked at me. I knelt, placed my hand on her chest, felt her heart beat. Fast now. Confused. I spoke softly, the same tone I always used. She pressed her head into my shoulder, hard, as if trying to anchor herself. Then, slowly, she stepped inside. Not because she understood, because she trusted. That broke me. The door closed gently. She didn't roar, didn't panic. She sat, eyes on me, unblinking. They asked if I was ready. I wasn't, but I nodded anyway. The vehicle pulled away, and for the first time since the day I found her, she was moving somewhere without me. The house stayed quiet for weeks, too quiet. I kept listening for sounds that weren't there anymore, soft steps, a tail brushing the wall. That deep, steady breathing beside me at night. But silence has a way of settling in. I visited her as soon as I was allowed. I didn't know what I would find. I didn't know if she would remember me. She was bigger, much bigger. Her body had changed again, stronger, longer, more unmistakably what she was always meant to be. But the moment she saw me, nothing else mattered. She froze, then moved, straight toward me. No hesitation, no doubt. She pressed her head against my chest the same way she did when she was small enough to fit in my arms. Caretakers stepped back instinctively. They didn't need to say anything. They could see it. She wasn't greeting a handler. She was greeting home. They told me she adjusted well, that she ate normally, that she learned the space quickly, that she showed healthy instincts, but they also told me this: she waits. Every day. At the same time. She sits near the gate and listens. As if she expects footsteps she recognizes, as if she knows a voice is missing. They said she doesn't do that with anyone else. Only me. When I leave, she watches, doesn't cry anymore, doesn't pace. She's learned strength, but she doesn't understand absence. Not fully, because to her I didn't disappear. I'm still her reference point, her anchor, her first answer to fear. She doesn't know words like sanctuary or rehabilitation or wild. She knows warmth, consistency, response. She knows the one who didn't walk away. I don't live with her now, but I care for her. I show up, I speak, I stay present. Because motherhood isn't always about where you live. Sometimes it's about who answers when everything else is gone. She is a black panther, powerful, wild, exactly what nature intended. And still, when she looks at me, when she presses her head close, when she settles only after I arrive, it's clear. She doesn't see a rescuer. She doesn't see a caretaker. She sees the one who found her when she had no one else. She still thinks I'm her mother, and in the way that matters most, I always will be.